Today, we are going to be talking about developing defensible ideas about characters using chapters 1 and 2 from the Lemonade War. When my brother was a little boy, he would sometimes do exactly what my mom told him not to do. So you see this is a picture of my brother Kevin. So for example, she would mop the kitchen floor and say, "Kevin, stay off the floor until it's dry." And Kevin would stand over there nodding in agreement, but then 2 minutes later, I'd see him slyly take one toe and step quickly onto the wet floor. My mom would say how defiant Kevin was, but my dad always told her, he just wants his little victories. As Kevin got older, he was still a good kid, and he made mostly good decisions. One day, he came home with a tattoo that surprised all of us. My mom panicked, but again, my dad said, he is just trying to be himself. He needs his little victories. I want you to give yourself a thumbs up if you have ever heard the phrase people skills. Maybe someone has said that you seem to understand how people feel, what they want deep down. If you are good at that, you have people skills. You have a talent for reading people. My dad has always been able to read Kevin. We can apply the same thinking to our book characters. Today, readers, I want to teach you that to read people in life and in stories, readers notice when a person does or says something that stands out. And they ask themselves two questions. They may ask, why might the character have acted this way? What do these actions show about the character? Readers especially notice patterns in a character's actions and notice times when the character breaks the pattern. We are going to return to a part of chapter 1 and think, how is the character acting? Specifically, Evan. We're going to be focusing on Evan. And what patterns have I seen in Evan by the way he acts? Do these actions fit with or disrupt those patterns? Well, I want us to think about, what do we already know about Evan? Well, we know he is trying to avoid his sister. We also know that he has something bottled up inside of him, and he is letting that frustration boil within. He seems very tense and very upset. So let's read a few lines from the passage that we have selected. But he could feel his anger growing. I don't want to play a dumb game. He was so angry and so humiliated and so full of bats. So I want us to ask ourselves, are we noticing a pattern with his actions? Do you think that the actions characters make, meaning the way Evan responds to his sister, is here for a reason? There has to be a reason why he is feeling so angry, does not want to be with his sister, does not want to see his sister, why he's feeling so humiliated and then telling her to shut up. There has to be a reason why. So readers, when we want to read a person, in this case, we want to read Evan, we note the actions that the person has made, and we think to ourselves what those actions really reveal, what they mean. We think about what other choices Evan might have made in that situation and ask ourselves why he did what he did. So I want us to look at this anchor chart, growing ideas about our character. I've begun to chart strategies for us to collect for studying our character's behavior. Well, when we're growing ideas about a character, we use patterns in the character's actions to form ideas. So again, with Evan, we're noticing that he's very frustrated. In all of chapter 1, he is showing frustration and anger towards his sister, and we want to know why. So then why might the character act like this? What happened to provoke these feelings? And then how do the character's new actions fit with or change the ideas that we came up with when we noticed the pattern? When we continue to read, we can focus on the actions of other characters as well. We are going to make an inferring chart on our character Jessie. We will look at her actions, thinking, and words and think to ourselves, so what? So what does this mean to us? So we've talked a little bit about Evan. Let's talk a little bit about Jessie. At the beginning of chapter 2, I found this sentence, and it really shows some of the actions and thinking that Jessie is having. This is a puzzle, Jessie told herself, and I'm good at puzzles. But it was a puzzle about feelings, and Jessie knew that feelings were her weakest subject. So what does this thinking tell us about Jessie? Well, it might tell us this makes me think that Jessie is very brainy and book smart, but maybe she struggles with connecting to others' emotions. Maybe she has a hard time connecting to other peers in general. Also from chapter 2, I found this sentence. Jessie felt relief flood her entire body, the same class. If she could wish for one thing in the whole world, that's what she had wished for. So what? What does this make us think about Jessie? Well, again, it kind of connects to this first sentence that we found. This makes me feel that Jessie does struggle with empathy and thinking of others, because in that moment, she didn't consider how this big change of her moving to Evan's grade would make Evan feel. So today, readers, when you go off to do your own reading, I want you to try to develop ideas about the characters in your books. To do this, you have to read with really great attention. So I want you to keep this anchor chart in mind when you're reading. You will want to identify patterns that you see in your character. You can ask yourself, why are they acting this way? And how do the character's new actions throughout the chapter fit with the ideas that you already had? So for your independent work today, you will read for 20 minutes, and then you're going to develop your own inference chart about one of your characters. Happy reading!